This is Total Babble. Total Babble. It's a show about music, pop culture, social media, movies, the internet, relationships, TV, whatever. Total Babble. The Total Babble Podcast.
Hey, Stu, Emily doing a show. No clever intro this week. It's going to be probably an odd, maybe short show because there's just weirdness going on. And remember the show after the election? Remember we did that? Remember how that was odd?
I do.
This is kind of like that. I don't feel like doing stories about a duck terrorizing a Florida town is going to be that apropos this week. It seems like it would be really trite, and to try to do just standard stuff would be weird. So we'll just talk about the big issues. And if it ends up short, then that'll be what it is, and it is what it is. And I'll try not to filibuster. And I do have a few fun things that relate to things. I always want to include you. How are you feeling in your world this week? We'll start out there.
Great. Thank you. It's been an interesting week. One of my children was invited to go back to Australia.
Oh.
Which was interesting considering he was born in this country and is an American citizen. All because he chose to express his opinion that he thought it was unjust the way that the current regime is treating some of the people in this country. He was a bit gobsmacked about that, and he had to say, "I'm an American and I was born here, you idiot."
How did it go after that? Did it end up like potentially escalating to a fist fight, or did he back off, or what happened then?
No, he just walked away because he realizes you can't argue with stupid.
That is a great intro for the mentality that is happening in this country. And it's not the majority of people that are thinking that way, but it's really coming to the surface now that you just can't have your own beliefs. You can't have your own thoughts. And yes, we're going to invoke a terrible political regime to allow you to not speak those thoughts. You will not be allowed to speak those thoughts moving forward is the way things are going. So, good lead in. LA obviously was invaded by our own country this week. And just a quick kind of minor recap to anybody that hasn't followed any of this. I can't imagine how that would be, but ICE arrested or detained a bunch of people. People in the community got pissed off. People were protesting peacefully. Trump played the big dick game and deployed the National Guard. That's when things went from peaceful to kind of crazy. People got super pissed off and destructive and set shit on fire, including some Waymo cars. And do I feel bad about Waymo cars? I'm not for that, but they're not setting their own community on fire. And I get the impulse to see that as a symbol of big corporate America and set that on fire. I don't advocate for it, but I don't necessarily feel bad about it. What do you think?
I think that it just sets a bad example. Protesting, I'm all for it, and especially peaceful protest. But it's one of these things that as soon as somebody throws a brick or sets a car on fire, it gives the rest of us a bad name. And there is scuttlebutt that people are being employed to try and escalate so that additional force can be justified. And
when you say people employed on the left or people employed on the right? Because it could be either now that you've said that and I think about it. They're saying it's people on the left, which is horrendous bullshit, but
that people are being planted to incite the violence so that the government can justify sending in additional force.
So people on the right.
Yes, exactly. But having them pose as people on the left.
Right.
And
wag the dog.
Quite. And there's been Craigslist ads that have popped up in and around LA and that kind of thing. And, we sometimes like to talk about conspiracy theories on the show. And so that is one of them. And
being that
it's
the
just
right has
disappointing.
accused the left constantly of paying people, that kind of makes sense with that mentality that, oh, maybe they're the ones doing the double agent thing and causing all this bullshit, because ultimately that is Trump's plan. He wants this to be a big fucking thing, and it wasn't a big fucking thing as disturbances go. This was very low level. This is like something that happens after a Lakers game and people were protesting peacefully, aside from a couple shitty people that you have in any community. And this is his test. He wants things to look like these are terrible people and we're being invaded. And this is also a big distraction from all the other terrible shit that they're doing. And this is the tactic. And I'm kind of viewing this from a point of view of, I'm about 25 minutes away from LA. If I drive 25 minutes, I'm in LA County. And to get to downtown LA where all this is happening, it's about 50 minutes. And it feels very close when you're even this close to it. And I kind of want to do this show as an overall thing, because guaranteed it's not going to stop here. This is the testing ground. This is going to go from city to city if we allow it to go from city to city. So that's kind of my view of things. Are all these people in your area thinking, oh, great Donald Trump, or are people starting to see the light that weren't seeing the light before?
Most of my friends aren't really pro-Trump.
Right.
So they're seeing it as they are seeing it. But important to mention is that the way that we are seeing it is being filtered through a couple of really important things. One is manipulation of the media, which, by the way, is being filtered by the fact that more than 60 journalists have been attacked by the LAPD. They've been hospitalized. Journalists are being deliberately targeted to try and stop the news media accurately covering what's actually happening. And as I think to show a juxtaposition, I think, between what we're seeing through the news media and what's actually happening, which I think you made a really good point about, which is it's not as bad as what the media would have you believe.
Or at least it wasn't.
At least it wasn't
Right.
as bad as what the media would have you believe, or as Lord Emperor Trump would have you believe, to need to deploy a military force. 50 LAPD officers marched in the Pride Festival yesterday. If it really was that bad, don't you think that we would have pushed pause on Pride, and maybe the LAPD officers would have had to just get down off the float? I really do think that if it was World War III in downtown LA, then perhaps things might have been
Right.
a little bit
Things
different.
would be much different in Los Angeles, around downtown Los Angeles. They would even be different where I am. And here things are the same. It's uptight, right-wing assholes here. To your point about the press, I had this for later in the show that I was going to play, but I'll play it now. It's one of your people. I don't know if you've heard this audio. This is audio of an Australian reporter just reporting on what's going on, and she gets shot by a rubber bullet.
Hours of standing off, this situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA. Oh! You just shot the.
You okay?
I'm good.
Are you okay?
And I wish we could get that without the bleeps. Can we just not worry about people's children when we're almost in a time of war and people are getting shot by the military standing there with rubber bullets? Can we not worry about offending somebody at that point? That would be great. You can't really tell everything that's going on there. But if you watch the video, it's pretty insightful. She's standing there doing a report, and you see this guy in the background make the conscious choice to turn his gun and go, you know what? I think I'm going to shoot that lady. And then he does it. And it's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it is very deliberate. And that journalist is Channel 9 correspondent Lauren Tomasi, and they are affiliated with CNN here in the United States. And it is exactly as you describe it. So as the cameraman pans over to a line of LAPD officers, all dressed in their black tactical gear and masks. One guy on the end sees what they're doing, turns, looks, deliberately aims at them, and shoots at relatively close range. And they are doing it deliberately to many journalists and to photojournalists. It seems to be deliberate because
it's
usually
deliberate. My question is it deliberate on an individual basis? Is it that officer making that choice? Or do they have a directive saying, go ahead and screw with them this way because we want to suppress that news media?
it is on such a broad scale, it feels like a directive. There are too many instances of it. In wartime, and this isn't even wartime, journalists are a protected class.
Right.
Journalists are protected by the First Amendment to go in and cover crime, war, police doing their duties, all of those sorts of things. Legally, by the Constitution, there is case law. There is so many examples of this. And it is, lots of people use the word unprecedented, but this truly is unprecedented. As a former journalist, this is terrifying.
You can look back through history and look at even the covers of Time magazine during the Vietnam War and all these things that were documented and think, wow, they really did just let people go to report, and even communist countries. And there's so much history of that. And we're even doing away with that in our society.
It really is concerning what's going on. But thank goodness in 3 days, we're going to get a $45 million military parade. So lucky.
Yeah, I have all this to talk about, and we're kind of skipping around. But on that note, I would like to mention that, Don's birthday is this Saturday, June 14th, and he's made himself a part of this military parade. And also on that day, it is being called No King's Day. And there are protests all over the country. And there's a simple Google you can do to find out where the protest is near you. And we really, as a world, need to go and protest him and protest this and do your part and get out at least that day. As this started to happen early last weekend, I was thinking, well, I've been saying on the show, it's time to get off your ass, America. It's time to get off your ass, America. And I was going to say, well, LA got off its ass, America. Good for you. And then it started getting worse and worse. And I don't agree with a lot of what's going on. But just for context, the reason that people are so pissed off is that ICE is going into Home Depots and arresting people trying to get work. They're stopping people on the street and arresting them, even though they haven't proven that they are illegal. People are willing to show papers. People are willing to go, here, I'm a citizen, but they don't care. They just take them in mass, and it is like Nazi bullshit. And they are arresting people who are labor leaders and union leaders, and they're going to schools and trying to take kids. That happened at the end of April. They went to LA schools talking about Homeland Security, and the school told them to fuck off. No, you can't see these kids. You're not their parents. But they're doing it in the most illegal, immoral, Orwellian way that you can even do it. And it's just everything scary that we thought was going to happen. And that's why people are pissed off. I am not pro-violence, but wow, I completely at least understand setting the fucking world on fire when somebody is coming into your community and taking your people and your neighbors and your family. And are you just supposed to stand by and go like, oh, wow, that sucked? Or how are you supposed to handle that?
This is something that we talk about because I went to go and get my teeth imprinted because side quest, I snapped my retainer, which was unfortunate.
You have some new ailment every week, I swear to God.
So there's nothing wrong with me. I just broke my dental appliance.
Right.
Because I was cleaning up. I had it in my pocket and I bent over and it went crack. I was like, shit. Stupid. So when I went in to go and get the impression of my teeth done, the nurse who was doing it, she's Korean American. And so we started talking. So she's American, but she's first generation, right? And anyone who's first gen is worried and worried for their families. Anyone who has a family who was maybe naturalized is worried. Say someone like my family. People with green cards are worried because they're going in and they're finding reasons to strip people of their green cards to change their status and deport them, so to make them criminals. There are people who are legally in the country that go into these places and then all of a sudden experience a status change and get ejected. It is very scary because it doesn't matter if you've done something wrong. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen. It doesn't matter if you have the right or not. You have no power. And they are pulling families apart. It's really scary for a family like ours because if we went, there's no one to take care of our kids. We don't have any family.
And I thought of you as you were traveling, and I almost texted you and said, whatever you do, don't talk. Don't do anything so that you stand out as somebody that might be somebody other than from downtown Kentucky. Don't show yourself as being what you are, because they could just decide to start questioning you, even though you're a white lady. And anybody of even olive skin is worried right now. Like I've been lining up my protests, and I said to my elderly mother, because she's more of a dick about all this than I am, she's ready to go kill somebody. She showed an interest, and I thought, you know what, she's a little bit darker complected than I am. I hope stuff doesn't happen with her, even though she was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, 78 years ago. You know, everybody has fears and everybody knows people that are in fear. I have neighbors that are Mexican, and I want to go over to them and say, hey, you know, if something's going on, I know you have people that come up for the weekend. I don't know everything that you have going on, but if shit happens and you want to throw somebody over the back gate, please do that, and we will hide them out in our house. And if I have to get arrested for that, okay. It's kind of like the Nazi regime. We'll start Anne Franking everybody, and we can go from there.
I am genuinely worried that people in my neighborhood might start dobbing people in just because they have dark skin or an accent.
And I'm not trying to make a bit out of it. By dobbing, you mean?
Reporting.
Okay.
Because people are racist. People make an assumption that because somebody has an accent or something that they're in the country illegally. People make an assumption that because someone has a darker skin complexion that they aren't a citizen. And I'm very concerned about that because we live in quite a multicultural neighborhood, but it is very split. There are very, very right-wing people here, but they're sneaky. And I wouldn't be surprised if there were raids.
And the scary part of that is in their corrupt, shitty brain, even if those people are citizens, they're brown and they shouldn't be over here, and they are completely just in reporting them because we need to get rid of those people because they are the problem. Nobody knows what the problem is other than we have a shitty economy because of a president that doesn't know what he's doing and is fucking it up even worse, even though we were on the right track. Oh, those people must be the problem. And okay, they're citizens, but we shouldn't allow them to be citizens. So let's get them out of here. That is their thinking.
It's rough. It's really, really rough. I am scared for my friends and I'm scared for my family. I'm genuinely
We have gardeners
scared.
that come by every other week and do our patio, and they do the whole neighborhood. And I'm really worried for those guys. They are the best people. When I was up in LA living there and my mom was doing stuff on her own, they really helped her out. And I tried to help her as best I could from there, but they really went out of their way to look out for her and do the right thing and do stuff they didn't have to do. These are great, genuine, wonderful people. And I'm worried for their safety right now. And I'm ready to say to them, hey, you want to hide out? Come by, feel free. Because it's just the right thing to do.
There was a really great piece on the internet made by a gentleman who's an undocumented immigrant, and I'll send it to you. And maybe you can play the bit in the show. It is a first-person perspective. The gentleman is incredibly eloquent, and he talks about how he was brought to this country as a 9-year-old from Mexico, and then he was here for 25 years. There are more than 11 million undocumented migrants in the country, the majority of which who came here as children. So they had no say in the matter. It's such a nuanced topic because people say, well, just fill out the paperwork. What took you so long? Yada, yada, yada. It really isn't easy, and it is very expensive, incredibly expensive. Even if they are married to an American, you can't just get a change of status, because if you came in illegally, you don't have an entry port. And so you can't have a change of status. You can't just make an appointment and get it changed. And if you have to, generally speaking, leave the country and go to a consulate outside of the country, and then there's a chance that they won't let you back in. So imagine that you've been here your whole life. You're married. You have children through, I think it's called DACA, right? There's a process where you, through the Obama administration, put it in where you got green cards, the right to work, Social Security, all of that kind of thing. Even though you're undocumented, they've opened businesses, they pay taxes, they employ people, right? Great contributing members of society who are technically undocumented migrants, but they could get deported. These people are getting snatched up as well. It's not just the cartel members that they would have you believe. And so imagine that you're this fine, upstanding member of society and you want to go through the right channels, but then imagine how high the propensity is for you, if you go to your appointment, that you will get deported and you will never see your wife or your babies again.
Yeah, people are going in for their scheduled appointments for citizenship and being taken right there. That's what this is about. And we know even how hard it was for you when you did this before all of this shit started. And it's just, oh my God, it's frustrating. And they're detaining people. And for clarification, detained sounds like, oh, they stop you on the street and they talk to you. Detained is basically they're arresting you for 3 days because that is the legal limit of how long they're allowed to keep you. There was a union leader here in LA that is a legal citizen, but God damn it, he's brown. So he was physically accosted, taken to the ground, and detained for 3 days. And he's a union leader, and it got big in the press. And now people are super pissed about that. So theoretically, the unions are starting to get behind this, and it's just scary and terrible.
It's scary and it's terrible. And they are using excessive force. I know that we're jumping around, but back to what's happening on the ground in LA, I have seen incredibly concerning footage of what the riot police and the mounted police are doing when they think that nobody's watching.
Yep.
They are attacking peaceful protesters, singling them out, throwing them on the ground, and trampling them with horses. You can kill a human being by trampling them with a horse, causing irreparable
footage,
harm.
and it's not verified, but I watched it. It's footage of police vandalizing their own car.
Oh, yes.
So it looks like their car was vandalized. I didn't see the source that came from, but at least it's out there. And really quick, back to the point that you were making about all of these people that are coming from other countries trying to do the right thing. They're all paying taxes, and we've all seen the meme. The meme is immigrants are paying more taxes than all of the big companies, Amazon, Google, all these big companies combined.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to talk about revenue for our country, there's that.
The economic impact of sucking millions of immigrants out will be massive. And it is incredibly short-sighted to have not done the math on that. It's absolutely bonkers. I don't know what they think they're doing.
The thing I'm trying to work out in my brain, and I think about this a lot, is if Crazy Orange Fuckface really believes all this stuff, does he really think that these people are wrong and evil, or is this just an end to justify his takeover and take control of everything? I can't quite work that out yet.
He can't possibly believe it. It has to be a tool to justify something else because he's pro-immigrant. His family were immigrants. He employs a lot of immigrants. 2/3 of his previous wives were immigrants. So he cannot possibly believe it. All signs point to bullshit.
But he does think Joe Biden is a robot that was replaced 5 years ago.
That I cannot even dignify with a response.
Sorry to shit on your point, but I've been milling it around in my head, and I'm like, okay, what is the motivation here? Take control of the world, or he's really crazy? I don't know.
It might be both. I've heard that he sloshes when he walks because he is completely incontinent.
Colostomy bag, yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, that, and yeah, he has to wear a diaper and a wee bag.
I also saw a thing last night where they zoomed in on his pant legs and they say he's having to wear braces now, and they see the indication of braces under his pant legs, and they're saying that's why he stumbled going up the stairs to that airplane, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff that is not nearly as bad to speculate about as him with the immigrants. So
I find it very hard to believe that he will make it. I just can't see it. But then we got DJ JD Vance.
Yeah.
Wicka wicka. Like,
yeah, this motherfucker.
I mean, that motherfucker.
There are so many things that I, because of emotion, want to say, but we now live in a world where I can't say them, and we don't really have a free society. And I'm thinking a lot more than I'm saying as to the way things should go ideally in my brain and how it would be wonderful. But we don't have that. And maybe one day when we have free speech again, I'll just say, hey, I was thinking, I wish this would have happened. So I'm just wishing a lot of things would happen.
We had a scary incident last week. We were at the tennis club for a tennis match. My husband was playing in some ridiculous competition that he has with his mates where they were playing for wrestling belts, and it was at nighttime. It's 2 minutes down the road, and the boys wanted to stay home. Anyway, I started to get these terrified text messages. Mummy, help. There's somebody in the house. We think there's somebody in the house.
Oh my God.
Mummy, quick, we're terrified. Come and help us. Quick, quick, quick. And so I've stood up. I've packed up my chair. I've just gone, Robert, we need to go. He goes, why? I go, the children are frightened. We must go. I was like, sorry, everyone. Got to go. And he's like, why? What's happening? I go, I've got no idea. We'll find out when we get there. All right. So we just pack up all our shit, carrying our coolers and get in the car. Then the eldest calls me on my watch from his iPad.
Yeah.
And he is panicked. He's like, we can hear somebody in the house. We're terrified. What are we going to do? They're going to murder us. Quick, where are you? Help, help, help.
Jesus.
I was so frightened, and I was trying to be calm. I was like, okay, go here, go to this place, lock this, go to this special area in the house, da-da-da-da-da-da, all of this sort of stuff. He was so panicked, and the fear in his voice, my husband was getting air. Like, he was not slowing down. Yeah. Everyone knows our car as well. People were probably going, what the hell are Emily and her husband doing, like jumping off the top of these speed bumps? We got home in about 30 seconds. The boys said that afterwards they could hear us from ages away. The car was like screaming. They said that when they heard it pull in, we were like, like it was like, and then we got to the door, and my husband's like looking around for a weapon, and I was like, fuck it. I just opened up the door and I like ran in, and I'm like looking around. It's the fucking cats. It's just two cats. Just two cats just fucking shit up. Just taking cushions off the couch, shuffling papers, chasing each other around, knocking things off the dining. It was just two cats.
And the kids were freaked out probably just because of the way things are nowadays.
Right. And they were just, and I did say to them, I was like, guys, so by the way, we have a guard dog. And I did say to them, so just for context, did the dog bark at all, even once?
Right.
And the little one goes, no. But I heard the gate open.
Now that you
And
mention it.
I was like, okay, cool. Well, let me tell you something. You definitely didn't hear the gate open, because if you heard the gate open, the dog would have heard the gate open. The gate that says, danger, dangerous dog, do not enter. If that bitch had heard the gate open, she would have been like a rat up a drain pipe and on that person. And they were like, oh yeah, we forgot. We just got so scared. And then it was so funny too, because bless them, they are adorable. They took the dog with them to keep her safe into their hiding spot. And my husband was like, why the fuck did you do that? Release the death beast. Like, let that out. That is a death machine. That will kill an intruder will have to kill that to get to you. That animal will slow them down. And they're like, oh yeah, we forgot. We just wanted to keep her safe. And he's like, I understand that. That's very noble of you, but this is why she exists.
Right.
Like she's got one job. Well, two jobs, companion and guard dog. But I've never been that frightened before, except when the little one had this very bad accident. But the fear in their voices, but it was just so
And that will be
funny.
a good story still when they're 30. Remember the time.
Do you remember?
You guys.
And the older one is such a rational thinker. I told him where to go and hide, and then he didn't hide there because he was like, no, that's the first place they'll look.
Let's work this out on a flow chart.
Exactly. He's like, no. I said, go into our bedroom, lock the door because that's, got a door on it and everything. And he's like, no, because if I'm a burglar, I'm going to go straight to the master bedroom looking for jewelry. And I was like, all right, well, that's actually pretty reasonable. It's kind of smart. Yeah. And then I said, well, because I told him to go to our room, go in the closet, go and, hide the stuff. And he's like, well, that's where I'd go looking for your jewelry. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm pretty smart. He goes, and then we're going to get murdered.
We're going to make a safety plan. Please attend this meeting. We'll work it out.
Exactly. So now I feel under huge pressure to come up with some sort of smarter safety or evacuation plan. And
again, it gives me the opportunity to say, once again, it all comes down to the fact that you got cats. There you go.
Honestly, cats, they're ridiculous. And they are complete assholes. Cats are pricks. I don't know how people have lots and lots of cats. We have 2, and 2 is too many, in my personal opinion. And they're always everywhere.
Never give in to the wants of your children. That is the moral.
I tell you, they're cute.
So
those
while
kids.
we were talking about all this, and those listening might hear a bing go off, very weird, I got a text from a random number that I don't know that says, where are you now? And I'm just like, that's kind of odd. I'm not going to get overly paranoid. 904 area code, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to respond to it because obviously if it's a scam or something, they want me to respond. But where are you now? Who the fuck are you? I don't know you. We'll see how that goes. If I get taken in, somebody come for me. Please demonstrate, because I would do it for you.
Okay. I think you should respond. I want to be the voice of reason here.
Okay.
And this is of critical importance. I think we should respond to this person immediately with the lyrics of Sweet Child of Mine. The only correct response is when they say, where are you now? Is, hey, it's been too long. And then when they come back, you just say, hey, just like my favorite song going round and round in my head.
Wow.
Some days I can feel it, but the feeling ain't all blue. You got me believing. Honestly, just send these texts.
I don't think I want to.
Hey, it's been too long.
I feel like if I do, it's going to screw up my world for the next year, because then they're going to know that I'm a real person and they're going to start sending me bullshit. Or if it's not somebody that is trying to scam me, it is some kind of government entity trying to take over my world. And I feel like I'm not going to respond. As much as you would like the trouble, I appreciate the thought for the bit, but,
Okay, well, fine. I then realized that we've definitely dated ourselves. I mean, anybody who's a long-time listener to the show knows that we're old as fuck, but I could have made myself seem younger if I had have started to recite some Justin Bieber lyrics.
Oh, that'd be good. That's not empty and trite at all. 1 second here. Hey, Siri, where's the 904 area code?
I found this on the web.
St. Augustine, Orange Park.
I have two different series.
Beach, Fernandina Beach, covering 39 zip codes in 7 counties.
Jacksonville.
This answer is from whitepages.com.
All right. Well, we'll see if I'm here to do a show next week. Could be fun.
Who do you know in Jacksonville, Florida?
Nobody. That's the point. It's a number I don't recognize, and they just want to know where I am. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's just bullshit. So back to all this crap in LA. I wanted to play this. This is pretty good info. It goes on for a bit. It's like 3 minutes, but I wanted to play it because I feel like this is just the start of things. And it's really important to let everyone know in coming weeks what is really happening, because they're going to do this shit again. And probably a lot of this would apply. So we'll almost play this like a song. This is Keith Boykin from TikTok. He's a film producer and political commentator. And he's linked to people in the Democratic Party. And this is his report. And save this, think about it, keep it in your brain.
I'm at the federal building in Los Angeles where Trump's immigration agents have reportedly detained hundreds of people in a basement this week. ICE agents raided several locations here in LA County in the past few days, and protesters have pushed back, prompting Trump to call up the National Guard. But just as we saw with the wildfires in January, there's a lot of misinformation going around, so I want to clear up a few things. Number one, LA is not out of control, and most of the area is not seeing protests. Los Angeles County is huge, covering more than 4,000 square miles with nearly 10 million residents. It holds the largest population of any county in America. So most LA residents are watching this on TV, not witnessing it in person. Number two, Los Angeles City Mayor Karen Bass is not the mayor of Los Angeles County, where the protest took place Saturday in Paramount. LA County is governed by a separate board of supervisors. The LA City population is 3.8 million people compared to 9.6 million in LA County. That means 60% of the population of this county does not fall under the mayor's jurisdiction. Number three, despite all these high-profile raids with masked ICE agents, the Trump administration is actually deporting fewer people per month than the Biden administration did last year. Trump has been slow to release new numbers, but the most recent monthly data shows ICE deported 11,000 people in February of this year compared to 12,000 deported in February 2024 under Biden. And somehow Biden did that without raiding Home Depot parking lots to pick up Hispanic day laborers. That's why White House official Stephen Miller set a new quota for ICE to arrest 3,000 people a day, even though they don't have the capacity to hold them anywhere. Since they don't have the numbers, they've got to create the drama. And we all know Trump loves drama. Number four, although the convicted criminal in the White House likes to pretend that he's doing all this to keep you safe, most of the people being arrested have no criminal record. Trump officials claim otherwise, but their own statistics disprove their argument. In fact, immigrants, including undocumented immigrants, are actually less likely to commit crimes than U.S.-born citizens. What the Trump administration is doing, though, is taking people who were legally residing in the U.S. under presidential orders for temporary protected status, suddenly revoking their status, and then going to their immigration hearings and arresting them as they walk out the door, according to immigration attorney Alan Orr. And then they're stuffing them into overcrowded facilities with no beds and forcing them to sleep on concrete floors. It's all a part of the great stunt queen's campaign to fool his cult followers with shock and awe, especially now that he was forced to return wrongly deported Maryland resident Kilmar Abrego Garcia from El Salvador. And you, the taxpayer, are paying the bill for this charade. So instead of de-escalating, Trump is now calling out the National Guard to provoke a fight. The same guy who refused to lift a finger to stop a deadly insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th and then pardon the violent criminals who tried to overthrow the U.S. government.
There are so many points in there. And one that came to mind right at the end is maybe we just let people completely fuck shit up and we just let things go terrible and we let violence happen. And then when we have a new administration, we just pardon everybody because that's what you do. That's what the example is. You just take everybody that is evil and pardon them. And that's what we can do in this case because it benefits us. We could take that route as well.
So ridiculous.
There were also reports, and I haven't seen them, but I want it to be true. There are reports that they were trying to tear gas immigrant crowds, but the people in the crowd, because they were immigrants, pulled out leaf blowers and blew the tear gas back at those blowing them at them. And I just want that to be a thing because it's so fantastic and so wonderful and ironic. I would like to look around and try to find that to justify
I want that to be true.
That's just so great and so like
So
Looney
great.
Tunes cartoon Warner Brothers stuff.
That would be amazing.
I've seen a couple memes going around too, and one of them stood out, and I wanted to bring it up and see how you felt about it. And at first, I kind of went, "Well, yeah, okay," but now more than ever, I feel like, well, yeah. The meme is if you see someone stealing food, you didn't see someone stealing food. How do you feel about that?
Make it make sense.
If you
make it
see
make
someone stealing food, you didn't see someone stealing food. In other words, just ignore it and make it go away. At first, I would say stealing is wrong always. Then I think, you know what? In this climate and with everything going on, and as poor as people are, and as much as people are trying to get through stuff, I'm not going to advocate stealing. But if somebody is stealing food, they really need that food. And I think I could look the other way.
One, not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm not going to dob somebody in for stealing anything at any time, really. I'm not out here trying to right the world's wrongs, okay? Now, people might say, oh, Emily, you're not doing your civic duty or whatever. I'm not about to get myself fucking killed, all right? My kids need a mother, so I'm not going to do that. If I did see someone trying to steal food, I might do something about it, but it wouldn't be dob them in. I might
keep using this word dob, and all I think of is Harry Potter. It's got to be some Harry Potter thing.
like Dobby. I might give that person some cash or give that person some groceries.
I am all and completely against looting. I think these people that last night especially started looting Adidas stores and Apple stores, there's no reason for that. You're disgusting, terrible people.
Dickhead.
Somebody putting a steak down their shorts in a grocery store, probably they need to feed their kids. I'm going to look the other way on that. And I kind of alluded to it before that we are at a place where we need to fuck shit up. And when I say fuck shit up, that can mean a lot of things. Maybe I'm talking euphemistically about the system overall. We need to fuck that shit up. And that can mean changing things politically. But I also get where people are just so frustrated that they just want to fuck shit up. And I don't view setting shit on fire as critically as I did before. I don't condone it, but I look at somebody being pissed about that corporate Waymo car being in their community when their friends and loved ones are getting taken to jail and being outraged and saying, I'm pissed off and I'm going to set shit on fire. Here we go. I would say to those people, maybe think again and especially think about trying not to set your own community on fire and try not to hurt each other.
I would agree with that. It draws attention away from the issue. My advice would be don't do anything to detract from the real issue. Don't become the issue because it's a distraction. That's what they want. They want you to become the issue. They want to turn the lens and everyone to look at you. They want to make you the problem. They want to make you wrong. So don't let them.
I agree. And it is also such a fine line between doing that and just seeming passive. You don't want to just stand back and do nothing because then it seems like you're passive and they can just take over our communities. But then also setting shit on fire is the other end of the spectrum. And you try to land in the middle somewhere, I guess. And then I wonder about, okay, if people are really setting shit on fire euphemistically or literally, maybe that makes people think about doing this again a second time. I don't know that it does, but it's up for discussion.
I wonder where that line is. I do think that peaceful protest and marching do it.
Yeah, that at least shows numbers. And I've been bitching for weeks that not enough people are getting out and doing that. And I really think people need to do that this weekend, especially. There's the thing of No Kings protests all over the country. And then there is a thing where people are just posting great information about Obama on that day all over the internet. Just spread stuff about Obama, nothing about Trump, because that is another form of protest.
I don't know if you saw the interview at the White House last night.
No.
The president said that no protests would be tolerated. I've got to see what the phrasing was, but essentially just violating people's First Amendment rights. He was saying that it would be, or any protests would be dealt with harshly.
Yeah.
And I think that's scary, even for people who intend to peacefully protest. We are seeing what is happening to peaceful protesters in LA. What's going to happen at a military parade if people try to peacefully protest?
That is his intimidation. And he's also kind of a coward because he didn't try to pull this shit in DC to start. If he pulled this shit in DC, people would be marching, burning down the White House. And this was a test. And he's even saying ludicrous things like, you should be arrested if you're wearing a mask. Well, fuck you. Fuck you hard. I'm wearing a mask because I wear a mask everywhere I go because I take care of an 80-year-old lady who I don't want to get sick. And just in general, I don't want to get sick. And just in general, it's my realistic 100% right as a citizen. So fuck you hard. And if I get arrested for wearing a mask, I'm all in for that. Let's go with that. And I am mouthy enough that I will get into the press and talk about that everywhere. And let's see how that goes.
I know this sounds bad and defeatist, but right now I feel just in this moment like nothing I could say or do or anything would make a difference. And I would be too afraid to, because my presence with my family is more important than risking not being able to be here for them, even for a short period of time. All they have is me.
I get that. I completely get that.
So if I got picked up and they didn't know where I was, they're too small to look after themselves and they would be all alone.
Right. I completely get that. And I, interestingly, have already had the conversation with a close friend of mine. And I said, I do this show where we say horrible, horrible things that are true and accurate and the right thing to say. But I said, it's not really weird to think that I could be arrested at some point the way things are going based on the way we talk. And I said to her, I said, if that ever happens, I need you to promise to look out for and care for my mother because she needs this and this and this. And you need to make sure she doesn't drink too much. And you need to really come here and look out for her. And I got somebody to promise me that. And you have to think ahead on these things because we've been saying for months that none of this is all that outrageous. And now things are happening and none of this is all that outrageous. So
who would have thought? Oh, wait a minute. We did. We
Yep.
did. We predicted this.
Everybody warning against this has been saying it. So
it's outrageous.
we can kind of wrap it up there. I'll just say that generally this is the time to go punk rock. I'm not much of a punk rock guy, but listen to The Clash. And this Saturday, Trump's big bullshit birthday bash is happening. Protest that. No King's Day. Look that up. Tweet Obama stuff. And I will tell everybody, just a side note, there's a brand new record that just came out from a band called Turnstile. It's called Never Enough. And holy fuck, you should just listen to that and give it a few listens because it is just so textured and all over the place, but it is also so aggressive and in your face, and it'll melt your face in so many different ways. And it's one of those records that you will listen to once you grab onto it and just go, yes, and you just need this, and it just will grab you. And that is a really good soundtrack for at least sitting at the keyboard, trying to do your part if you're sitting at the keyboard because you can't get out or you're too lazy to get out. So Turnstile, never enough, and
I love that.
fuck shit up how you see that fit.
Love that. Awesome.
Weird week. Good job on your part, Miss Emily.
And to you, stay safe out there.
I just sounded like such a country redneck hillbilly right there. Good job to you, Miss Emily. I'm going to get out in the pickup truck and take my dog for a walk.
Here's a joke from the Child Archives. What generation is Forrest Gump set in?
Don't know.
Gen A.
Gen A.
My son came in to tell me that at 10 o'clock at night 2 nights ago.
Now, is that his, or did he get that from somewhere?
I'm sure he got it from somewhere, but it was quite humorous. I giggled.
Because we're starting back at Gen A now.
Yes, exactly.
And when did the need to do all of that first happen? We have to label each generation. The only ones that really matter are the Gen Z, and really they're just generation asshole, most of them.
Well, it started with the baby boomers.
Yeah, boomer, right? Okay. I'm not that. I'm Gen X. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty proud of that, I guess, if there has to be a label. It should be Gen X, we're the ones that don't suck.
It could be that.
Yeah. Mm. That's one way to go.
You could say that. That is one thing that one could say.
I love that response. That's one way you could do it.
That's one way you could look at it. Definitely a response. Yeah. For sure. It's the eldest son's birthday next month. And I know we've ended the show, but I thought you'd be interested to know this. He sent me through his birthday list, and you would not believe what is on it.
Does he have a big gun that shoots big foamy missiles like he did before, and I told you should get it for him?
Different kid. Oh. This is the older one. No, this kid has requested a very specific model Walkman from the year 2010.
Oh.
Because his favorite band released an album on cassette tape that he wants to listen to. And so he wants the cassette, he wants the Walkman. And so that's what he wants. And I just thought that was really cool. And so I never thought that cassettes would make a comeback, but now I'm finding myself going on eBay and all around to look at things like he's an Aerosmith fan, for example. And so I'm trying to go and find Aerosmith. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go and try and find him some Radiohead cassettes and stuff. So I'm trying to think about all of these things. Like he likes, Nirvana and stuff like that. So I'm trying to think now, like trying to get him access to all of these interesting cassette tapes.
Can you implore to the boy that cassettes are terrible technology? As a guy that worked with them for years, they're really terrible technology. And I get that everything is just circling back and it's just, oh, look at this thing. I'm surprised we didn't go through the 8-track generation, because that you would have thought would have come back.
Would have thought he's got records as well.
Yeah, records I know are big. And I think it'll just keep cycling. And then you know what the new big craze is going to be? Streaming. We'll come back to streaming again. It'll be all that streaming. Hey, look, we can do that. And it's like, ugh. Streaming is also bad, by the way.
I mean, I don't understand what the appeal is for him, but I mean, he likes the tactile electronics. I don't know what it is, but I just thought it was just so weird. But there you have it, Walkman.
There you do indeed. And we hadn't really stopped the show. We don't stop the show until we stop the show and then talk for a second time. So now we've stopped the show.
Finn.
Goodbye, everyone. Fuck shit up.
Okay, you know how this goes. Like us, subscribe, tell your friends, write a nice review, engage with us. We're Total Babble on Instagram, on Facebook, on Threads, and on Blue Sky. Email is show@totalbabble.com. The Total Babble Podcast.
Miguel, why don't you just get your papers? I get these comments all the time, so let me tell you why I'm still not a citizen after 25 years of being in this country. Even though I'm married to an American citizen, I have 2 American children, I own a business, I employ people, and I'm still undocumented. And if you're wondering, I have no criminal record. Unless you're living in Iraq, the immigration situation is getting pretty tough, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So I think it's important for Americans to have awareness of what's happening, why it's happening, and to put faces to the problem. Most people in my situation are unable or unwilling to talk about this because they're afraid for what could happen to them. whether it could affect their case, or like recent cases of students with visas who had their visas revoked and they were deported because of them speaking out about certain issues. Another reason that I'm doing this is because one of the reasons that I get some of these comments is because most Americans form an inch-deep opinion on this issue that's a mile deep in complexity. There are so many factors and layers to the immigration issue, and the best thing that I can do is bring awareness. Now, I'm just one issue. Your ability to become a citizen depends on where you're from, your situation, how you came in, your current legal status, your criminal record, and whether or not there's a legal pathway for you to become a resident or a citizen. Because people don't understand that for some people, there is no pathway whatsoever. I was brought to the U.S. as an undocumented child at the age of 9, and I was undocumented up until 2012. I tried to apply for obtaining legal status at the age of 14 or 15, only to find out that there was no legal pathway for me to become a resident. This is because I was brought to the U.S. as an undocumented child. The only connection I had to a U.S. citizen was my brother, who is an American citizen. So I lived as an undocumented immigrant from the age of 9 all the way until I was 22. In 2012, President Barack Obama came on national television and he announced the DACA program, which stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. He knew people like me who were children when we came to the country were becoming of age and wanted to work, wanted to study, and do productive adult things. But we were limited due to our immigration status. He tried to pass immigration reform multiple times only to fail. Immigration reform is the term used to essentially fix the immigration problem. There have actually been very common sense immigration reform projects put on the table, but none of them have passed. So after failing to pass immigration reform through Congress, he signed an executive order, essentially deferring immigration action towards people like myself who were brought here as children, which just means there was not going to be any immigration action taken against us. We were not going to be deported if we came out of the shadows. So he asked us to come out of the shadows with the promise of not being deported and receiving a work permit, a driver's license, a social security so we could go to school, work, start a business, and other fun adult things. Now, it's important to understand this is not immigration status. It's actually very clearly stated. I am still undocumented. I don't have a residence. All that we had was a promise that if we came out of the shadows, if we did not have a certain criminal record, we would not be deported and would be allowed to work and to study and to start businesses and pursue our dreams. That's why they called us dreamers. This still gave us no pathway towards citizenship or residence. I also have to renew this permit and pay fees every 2 years. The first time that I did it, I had an attorney do it, so that was thousands of dollars. But after so many times, I learned how to do the application. 2016, Donald Trump becomes president. And even though he said things like he wants to do something with the Dreamers, in 2017, he canceled DACA. This not only broke the promise of the U.S. government to not deport us if we came out of the shadows, but a DHS memo also told DACA recipients that they should prepare to leave once their permit expires. By this point, I had recently gotten married. My wife is an American citizen, and we had just started talking to an attorney about having her petition me to become a resident. This process has now taken over 7 years. Because I was brought here as an undocumented child, I did not qualify for what's called an adjustment of status, which would allow my wife to petition me and then just have my status changed to a residence. Instead, the process required me to go to the city of Juarez on the Mexican border and to meet with an immigration agent to essentially let me in the country. The only way for me to be able to stay in the country and have an adjustment of status is to have a legal point of entry. Because I'm undocumented, I by definition cannot come in legally. A couple of years ago, my grandfather passed away in Mexico. This qualified me for what's called a humanitarian advance parole, which is essentially the U.S. government giving me permission to leave the country and come back legally. This is because through the whole time that I had been here, even though I had DACA, I was not permitted to leave the country and re-enter. So I have been stuck in the U.S. for my entire adult life. But when I went to see my grandfather when he passed away, and I was given permission to re-enter the country legally, that activated what's called a legal point of entry, which allows me to start an adjustment of status. This is the process that would just adjust my status and I would become a resident finally. Now, I had been waiting for 7 years for the other process, and we were contemplating whether I should start a new process because you don't know how long this new process is going to take. But you do know it's going to be thousands of dollars more. But earlier this year, I received an email from USCIS telling me that my appointment in Juarez had finally been scheduled after 7 years. At the same time, I found out I'm having another baby. This would be my third baby. And due to the current immigration climate, I did not want to leave the country and risk being stuck in Mexico with my pregnant wife here in the US and my other 2 children. So we rescheduled the appointment. Thankfully, I am now closer than ever. I am at least $20,000 in, including fees and attorneys. But I share this so you can know how complex and how difficult it is. And my case is not the most difficult. There are people in different circumstances whose cases are even more difficult than mine. And there are people who have no pathway to citizenship or resident whatsoever. A lot of these people have lived here for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They now have children, grandchildren, businesses, homes. And a lot of these people have been here since they were babies, meaning they do not know any other place on earth. So now you know. I'm trying to bring awareness to the issue, so please help me share this. Also, please engage in the comment section. It'll help to boost this video.